Mm. Hello, my loves. I know I did not announce this live stream. I just felt guided by spirit. I just kept hearing this message. So I'm going to close it here. Hello, my loves. It's Katerina Satori. And I live in service to spirit, so I was in my creative portal. I birthed the whole program in the last 3 hours, and I was in the recording studio, and I just kept hearing this message because whenever I check in on social media, majority of posts, I feel this collective turbulence about the fires that we have going on in Australia. And I can feel how our hearts just go towards the animals, towards the plants, towards the people. And if you are a sensitive soul who can feel the energies of the collective, it can easily become really overwhelming. And you can feel this deep sense of unease. And it's like deep sense of unease with a certain sense of helplessness, right? Okay. Hello, darlings. Hi, good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, so I just really felt guided to hop on this brief live stream and to share with you from the heart that as a highly sensitive being myself, I feel the collective so deeply. And it used to deeply overwhelm me to the point that I would go into the waves of deep pessimism about humanity, about the future. And the deep cycles of pessimism would come, and I was not equipped to deal with those cycles, to actually navigate those. And through the time, I've learned to lean on the tools, and I wanted to share with you some of my tools. It is absolutely normal to feel overwhelmed when you hear, hi, darlings, when you hear about the fires, when you hear about the conflicts in government, when you hear about our president being impeached and all the drama. I don't have a TV on purpose for the last 7 years. I don't watch a cable. I don't watch news. I don't watch TV. And social media is like a TV, right? So I will hear all these global news, and you can't help but feel the heaviness and the turbulence of the world. So after you have done what feels in congruency with you, like donated, spread the message, you have helped in the capacity that you are able, what do you do next? That's the purpose of this video, right? It's not, a lot of us have different ways how we deal with collective anxiety. Some people feel better simply by expressing, how they feel on social media. Some people go through a little bit of kind of a mental collapse, and the dark thoughts. And I am here to offer what I do because I live in the human body like everybody else, and the highly sensitive human body that is like have these antennas from every part of my skin that I can feel the collective unrest. I can feel the hopelessness. So, darlings, one of my tools that I channel the unease of living in the human body, of living in the human society that is going through kind of like a rebirth time. We are going through a birth canal as humanity. And we're going through this deep mutation of consciousness where there is going to be at times of deep unrest and deep collective fear and deep collective anxiety. And if you are sensitive, you're going to feel it, right? You're going to feel it as, oh my goodness, what do I do with all this energy, right? So one of the ways that I deal with it is I channel that energy into something useful. Creativity is my number one go-to. Once again, it's after I did my part as a citizen of the world. I donated, I shared ongoing petitions. I gave something a voice. I did what is humanly possible for me to alleviate the cause, alleviate the suffering of those who can't help themselves. What do I do then? Instead of feeling helpless and defeated by the state of humanity, I begin to channel this energy into my creativity. And I use this time of collective unrest as an extra sense of push, and this extra sense of fire under my own commitment. And I say, okay, things becoming bumpy, things becoming turbulent. Where am I still postponing acting on my dreams, acting on my assignment, acting on my vision? So, darlings, this is how I work with the energy. Once again, nobody is immune to feeling collective panic or feeling collective sadness. Today, mostly I felt sadness, a little bit of helplessness as a human being, sadness. And then I said, okay, sadness wants to be of use. How do I alchemize sadness? How do I direct it towards creativity? And so creativity is the number one that I go to. If it helps me to go on a run, be in the nature, and to physically discharge the energy. Once again, if you're highly sensitive being, empath, right, you will feel the turbulence of the collective. You can't escape it. And it's a gift because you're a highly creative being. If you're a highly sensitive being, you are highly creative being. So how do you navigate the waters of your sensitivity? And you say, okay, I'm highly sensitive, I'm highly creative. Let me channel this creativity. Let me create something. Let me express myself. So this is number one for me. This is why today I birthed the whole program, darlings, in 3 hours. I was like, what do I want to share? How do I want to move my mission forward? By honoring the feelings, by honoring what's going on. And always the second, so creativity is the number one. So let me know in the comments if you felt the beginning of this year, you felt the collective turbulence. Let me know, darlings, in the comments, because I'm there with you. I'm there with you. And my old ways, when I was trying to create unhealthy protection around my sensitivity, was a lot of addiction in the past, a lot of these ways of checking out of my reality. Even transcendence and spiritual checking out can become unhealthy device. So instead, I practice moment by moment. How can I check in? How can I really meet this moment with my open heart? And once I have done everything what's possible from me, again, donate to the cause, spread the message, send the prayer, create a ritual for those who are suffering, who are going through this initiation right now, because the earth is purging. The earth is purging, and it's there's going to be cycles like this, cycles of expansion where we feel technological expansion, we'll feel hope for humanity. We feel like this new human is being born literally from within ourselves. And then there will be moments where we feel, oh my goodness, I have zero hope for humanity. And in those moments where you hear that voice and you feel really helpless, what do you do? Right? What do you do? So one of my ways, darlings, has always been, yeah, I see your comments. Hi. Yeah, honor your sensitivity. You don't want to put an armor around your sensitivity. Your sensitivity is what you have been uncovering and allowing yourself to fully bring forth. I know it wasn't easy, right? It's so much easier to carry an armor. It's a heavy way to live, but it's much easier than staying connected to what you feel and feeling everything and continuing to rise. So, darlings, creativity for me is number one. A lot of times I write as well. The more turbulence I feel about humanity, I want to name my feelings. I want to write. And something about writing by hand is really healing for your psyche, healing for my psyche, that I find, because you express and you have this connecting experience from your body and your thoughts. And whatever the thoughts that going on in the mind, you can take them into the paper, and it can bring a sense of relief. And of course, leaning into your connection to spirit. I don't think it's possible to make it through the next 7 years that are going to be highly accelerated and highly evolutionarily. I don't think it's possible to make it without a genuine connection with spirit. So, leaning on my practices and sometimes, just listening to the sounds of nature is very calming for the nervous system. What I find with highly sensitive beings, we have a very different nervous system, and it's easily affected by environment. It's easily affected by what's going on. So, I stopped apologizing for it, and I stopped overlooking it, and I stopped honoring my nervous system that is like an antenna, like a fine antenna that can hear so much in the collective, that can hear so much within, can hear so much in my conversation with others. So it's a gift. And you get to take care of your gift. You take care of your nervous system. And this is why I felt so compelled to share with you the way I do it, darlings. And you find your own way. There is really no right or wrong. But for me, whenever I channel whatever is going on, sadness or distress, I feel it fully. I hear to its message. Sometimes I write down what my sadness wants to tell me or what my hopelessness wants to tell me. And I say, thank you. Thank you for these messages, because this is the messages from the collective that I'm feeling and channeling from my body, right? And then I say, what can I do today that can actually alchemize this energy that I feel into something deeply productive and useful and creates an elevation of consciousness and humanity? This always supports me, darlings, and I wanted to offer that to you. So some of the most brilliant creativity can be born out of feeling the pain fully, out of the feeling the contrast of being human, and carrying both the deepest optimism for where we're evolving and all these new possibilities of new age and new earth, and also this radical turbulence of witnessing our earth going through such purging and such deep rebirth, and we are going with it together. And I feel it is very, very good that we more and more of us feel what the collective feels, because we're finally moving towards really stabilizing oneness consciousness. So these tools, darlings, we will get to lean on them more and more. The more we really embody oneness consciousness, we will get to feel everything, right? And not be afraid of collective turbulence. But just say, can this turbulence open my heart? And can it inspire me to the creative action and not postponing my dreams because I don't know if tomorrow I'm going to have an opportunities that I have today. And hello, darlings. Good to see you. How are you? How are you? So there is this great book called The Highly Sensitive Person. It's an old book, but if you haven't read it, I feel, darlings, the more awake we become, the more sensitive we become. The more we're willing to feel our own heart and our own inner world, we're going to be able to feel what's happening in the world. So it's very key to begin to pay attention to our nervous system and to what really supports us being anchored in the knowing of who we are, but also remaining human, right? Alex says, I love that book. Yeah, it's a good one. It's an old one, but it's really, really helpful. And doing some kind of I'll offer you this ritual that I give to my personal clients who have high pressure work environments. A lot of pressure, a lot of responsibilities, a lot of teams rely on them. And it's a ritual that I do on a consistent basis, not every night, but I would say 3 times a week at least, where you visualize, you creatively visualize listening to a beautiful music of somewhere peaceful. It could be a temple, it could be a tree, it could be an ocean, but you take yourself through this creative visualization. And creative visualization is the fastest way to reset your energy body. If your energy body is out of tune, your physical body will pay the price only 100% of the time. So, with this increase of all these global changes and all these global unrest, I invite you to lean into this process as a way of fine tuning your nervous system. So, you imagine a peaceful place, right? I often see a temple, like an Asian temple. And I imagine that I sit there or I stand there. And I just imagine that when I am in front of the temple, I realize I have all these bags of sand on my shoulders. And I'm like, I'm barely walking. And those bags of sand represent my inner and my outer burdens, the ones that I carry voluntarily, the ones that I picked up from others, because at some point I began to believe the thought that carrying other people's burdens make me feel loved, or whatever the old belief system is, right? I've noticed that spiritual workers, spiritual leaders are some of the most giving people that sometimes lose perspective with their boundaries, which burdens are there to carry, which are not. So I regress. But anyway, you do this process where you visualize you carry bags of burdens on your shoulders. And you begin to imagine taking those burdens one by one and laying it in front of the temple. And maybe a temple will represent your higher self. And you say, higher self, I release the burdens that I believed were mine to carry. And I ask for assistance with moving forward in my life. Some sort of this ritual, you will discover the power of it by doing it. And it's so powerful, to become really committed of removing these psychic burdens out of your consciousness on your own. Just how you remove their dirty clothes out of your body, right? You start your day fresh. It's the same with your energy body. And you're really going to feel the difference of being able to be better leader and better business owner, or better mother, better father, right? The better citizen, when you can manage your nervous system and your high sensitivity in this time of great change. Darling, that's all I wanted to share with you. If you are a sensitive person and you are feeling overwhelmed, just know it's okay. I feel that too. And I go through the tidal waves of that. I simply lean onto my tools and I choose to keep my heart open no matter what happens. And that's the true sign of awakened heart, where you can hold space for the deepest ecstasy and the deepest pain at the same time, where you can have the deepest hope and enthusiasm for humanity. You can hold the vision for that new earth, right? And at the same time, you can feel the turbulence of being human and looking at all these, everything that's happening, and choosing to stay in your open heart. So if you just joined, darling, I am wrapping this up, but I have shared powerful, powerful perspectives and tools that can really help you to stay anchored in the truth of your being. Thank you so much for the gift of sharing this moment with me. I love you, and keep trusting your heart, and keep trusting that humanity is being guided by higher forces and higher powers. We can trust that and trust the next moment.